Adelson, the question remains as it relates to your right to remain silent and your right to testify. What is your decision concerning these two rights?
This time I don't want to testify.
Welcome to Court TV Live. We are your front row seat to justice. I'm Julie Grant, and today is the big day for Donna Adelson. It could be the verdict day as we're getting ready for the all-important closing arguments after she made that decision on Wednesday not to take the stand. Now, it's important to note she could still change her mind. That right belongs to her, and if at the very last minute she would decide she would want to change her mind, her attorney can request permission to reopen their side of the case, and most likely the judge would allow her to go ahead forward with that because that right is paramount in our government, in our Constitution here in the United States. So right now we've got the charging conference going on where they're looking at the verdict form. They're looking at the law that the jury will receive, what they'll be instructed on to apply to the facts as they've received them throughout this trial. Let's listen into the courtroom together now.
2014, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
One of the pages that the state included in, I believe it's 59A, the first page actually refers to the party. And in the state's demonstrative that was used through Sergeant Corbett, they actually highlighted that language. If I can approach...
Demonstrative, though, is not evidence.
No. In the presentation that they had with Corbett after the document was admitted into evidence, so the document itself is admitted, during his presentation, they highlighted language about the party. So I think that changed the analysis. If I can approach and grab the exhibit, Your Honor.
Please do.
Calendar. One was the one with the tag number. I don't see that here, Your Honor.
May I ask
Exhibit 142, Your Honor. And the reference is on the Friday, June 13th. It's pretty much in the middle of the page.
As to this particular page, are you making any arguments as to what's been admitted is certainly permitted? How are the other separate pages, which are separate writings, in any way connected to this as completeness?
Your Honor, it's all about the birthday party. That using admission of that page alone creates a misleading impression.
Again, the court's ruling remains the same. For the item that has been admitted, you can make all arguments that can be reasonably inferred from this admitted item concerning the birthday party. Beyond that, the writings are not connected. This is not an issue of completeness as the court finds.
May we use the calendars as demonstratives during our closing?
You certainly may.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are there any other issues that we need to raise at this time by either party?
The verdict form?
Oh, yes. The verdict form, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Evans and I discussed on count 2 to conform to the indictment. We would ask that the count 2, we, the jury, find as follows as count 2 of the indictment: conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and additionally the conforming word in A.
Let me bring up the indictment. So you wish for it to read conspiracy to commit first-degree murder.
Yes, please.
As to the solicitation, do you wish for that to read the same as well?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, thank you. I believe that stays with the evidence. Any further issues concerning the jury instructions that need to be addressed?
Cover that. Your Honor, I just want to make sure you under subsection where it says the defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit, you did add first-degree murder there.
The verdicts will read count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment. First-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. The defendant is not guilty as to count 1. Count 2, we, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is not guilty as to count 2. Count 3, we, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the, we'll change that to indictment, not information. Count 3 of the indictment, the defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is not guilty as to count 3.
Yes, sir.
Any further issues to raise concerning the jury instructions?
No, sir.
None on that, Your Honor.
Any other issues to raise?
I'd like to renew our motion for judgment of acquittal, same arguments, as well as all previous motions or objections.
Very well. As to the renewed motion for judgment of acquittal, the court has the same ruling in taking the evidence introduced throughout the trial in the light most favorable to the state. The state has met its burden to present all 3 counts to the jury. As to any review on this matter, the issue is preserved.
Thank you. And the last issue, Your Honor, we had discussions yesterday concerning a corrections officer at the Leon County Detention Center. We were able to get her served. Our investigator was able to, an investigator was able to track her down. Ms. Kessler, my paralegal, spoke with her afterwards. The information that she provided is our position that anything Officer Franklin would have to offer is not admissible, and that is why we did not seek to call her prior to arresting.
Well, parties can briefly approach.
All right, so we're getting ready for the all-important closing arguments. We got one of the final sidebars. They're set to happen at 9:25 a.m. Eastern. So let's do a little preview of what each side should be arguing to the jury. A little 1-minute preview for each side. Let's bring in our analysts. I have with me criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown and law enforcement expert and jury consultant Sonny Slaughter. All right, so Sonny, do me a favor. Take the side of the prosecution. Michael, do me a favor. Take the side of Donna Adelson and her defense team. And would you both kind of give us a little 1 minute, the best arguments that need to be put forward by the jury? So in the trial, prosecution goes first. They carry the burden. Sonny Slaughter, you are up.
Thank you so much, Julie. So the prosecution needs to focus on that Donna Adelson really wanted to get Dan Markel out of her daughter and the children's lives. She is a menacing mother who was manipulative and controlling. She wanted to have control over Wendy's children, and in order to do that, she masterminded this plan and scheme with her son in order to remove him, not just temporarily, but completely out of their lives. And we have seen all of the evidence. Law enforcement has done a great job. So they need to stay focused on the facts and the evidence that show Donna was very much a part of this murdering scheme, and she had so much reasons to do it because she did not want the children to be in Dan's custody. They no longer have his name. He no longer matters, and this is where we are.
Sonny, thank you for that. And Michael J. Brown doing what he does. Our team in the control room noticed you're taking notes as you would do in trial with opposing counsel. You got your legal pad. Let's hear from you next. Your defense counsel, what do you say to the jurors?
Well, here's the thing, Julie. The big thing is I understand she may not be happy with Markel. She may have wanted the kids to come down to Florida, down to South Florida. But the thought of taking that leap, and it's a huge leap, of actually involved in killing her son-in-law, the father of her grandchildren, that's a huge leap. And you look at Donna sitting there. She's a motherly, grandmotherly looking lady. Do you really think she's capable of doing what the prosecution suggests? And by the way, there's very little evidence. It's all circumstantial, and they want to focus on the fact that she bought a one-way ticket to Vietnam. That's great. She was taking a vacation. She was trying to escape the media barrage. That's acceptable. You heard evidence from defense witnesses where they talked about that it wasn't as hostile as the prosecution is trying to portray it. And at the end of the day, the people who are involved in this, the real killers, they've been held accountable, they've been convicted, and she is an innocent woman.
Great arguments from you both. There is a little preview of what we're going to hear this morning in the courtroom. I wish we had more time. I would let you two go on and on. You both made excellent points. Michael J. Brown, special thanks for staying overtime for us today. I know you got to get to court. Appreciate that. It's such a special day as we could have a verdict today in the trial for Donna Adelson. Sonny's coming along with us as we're getting ready for the closing arguments and then the verdict watch. Don't go anywhere, friends. We'll be right back in just 4 minutes.
Matriarch of the Adelson family gets arrested.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel.
Prosecutors say a bitter child custody battle was the motive for the murder-for-hire plot. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
Now that the ship is really sinking fast, blood doesn't matter that much.
The Matriarch Mastermind Murder Trial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Now.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. I want to show you a live look at the courtroom right now as we're getting ready for Donna Adelson's homicide trial to resume with the all-important closing arguments. 9:25 a.m. Eastern is the time the judge set for those to begin. While we wait, let's look back at the very best moments from Wednesday.
In your work as a family law attorney, did you have occasion to represent Wendy Adelson?
I did represent Wendy Adelson in the end of 2012, I believe it was, 2013, and part of 2014.
Would you call her divorce a bitter custody battle?
I would not.
Now, subsequent, did the marital settlement agreement require that Mr. Markel pay Wendy and yourself certain sums?
He was supposed to pay me $10,000 in attorney's fees because he made a lot more money than Wendy did. He was supposed to pay her $120,000, all within 60 days.
Did Mr. Markel pay the sums that he was obligated to pay under the settlement agreement?
He was supposed to transfer, if I remember, from one of his Charles Schwab accounts to Wendy the money. He gave her $50,000 of the $120 in a pretty timely basis, and then he just didn't pay the rest.
Ms. Bailey, how did the Adelson-Markel divorce compare across the variety of cases that you've handled?
Simply, it was routine, it was amicable.
You would not say that divorce and child custody issues are emotionally charged?
They can be, but in this case, they weren't.
They weren't? How do you know?
From the pleadings, because I don't have 10,000 pages in front of me.
You're not in the mind of the people whose lives are impacted by these pleadings. It's not just about pieces of paper and a binder, is it?
I don't think that's what I said.
During that time period when her son was on trial and shortly after, did you have some concerns based on statements that she was making?
Concerns about Mrs. Adelson's mental state, yes.
Yes. Can you tell us what those were?
She had made numerous statements about terminating her life if her son, Charlie Adelson, was convicted.
During the trial or after the verdict, did you disclose to anyone in the state attorney's office that Miss Adelson was suicidal?
Of course I didn't. No, I had an attorney-client privilege relationship with her, and I don't think that would have been appropriate.
Sure. And why was she suicidal?
Because her son had just been convicted, and she was worried he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Was she also worried about getting convicted herself?
I don't believe that was even crossed her mind. She was only worried about her son.
Okay. Are you aware of a text message where she said that she was afraid she was next, but don't worry, she would take care of that?
I'm not, I'm sorry.
As it relates to your right to remain silent and your right to testify, what is your decision concerning these two rights?
This time I don't want to testify.
All right, so that was a look back at what happened on Wednesday. Now, one of the biggest moments when Donna decided not to take the stand. Was that a good decision? Let's bring in our guest and see what she thinks. Sunny Slaughter on the program with us. Sunny, your thoughts on that?
I think it was a good decision because I don't think that Donna is really capable at this point in time of having the words to say about what really happened. I don't think she wants to tell us that part of her truth because she's been lying, manipulating, and scheming for so long. I just don't think that she's able to get up on the stand and get herself in more trouble. So I think it was best that what the defense did was use others to come in and talk about who she is, because I don't even think she could explain that away based on her actions and, you know, and how she really manipulated behind the scenes. She was the conduit for all of this because Wendy was not really talking to Charlie. So how would Charlie get all of these information and know all of these facts? I just think she made the right choice. And I think she's also, you know, trying to look a little shaky there, you know, like she doesn't know, but she's in control. And I think this was all planned.
Sonny, thank you for that. Yeah, it's definitely a safe bet. And it's a safe bet. I certainly can't fault her for that. I'm sure this was based on the advice of the good counsel that she has. We know she has really sharp attorneys who've been doing an excellent job representing her. So have to say kudos to them. And I always say, you know, don't get mad. The defense attorneys are just doing their job. They're just doing their job, protecting her rights. You know, and it's an important distinction, isn't it, Sonny, as we're waiting for the closings to get underway. When we think about the jobs, the prosecution attorneys have, you know, versus the job that the defense attorneys have, very different. Defense attorneys, they are advocates and advocates only. You know, prosecutors are ministers of justice. So when you're a prosecutor, you're not advocating, oh, I'm here, you know, for the victim. You're doing what's right overall. If it's right to move forward with the prosecution for a victim, you do that. If what's right is withdrawing the charges, you do that. So it's all about the overall mission and the oath that a prosecutor takes to uphold the law and administer justice in the courtroom. And so very different positions. So these attorneys representing her are advocating for her. These attorneys for the state of Florida have the power to move forward if they feel they have the evidence to prove Donna Adelson committed the crimes they're accusing her of. So this was a weighty decision, we know, to charge her. Sonny, how about the decision by both sides not to call Charlie? Let's talk about that if we can here, because I'm not so surprised the state didn't call him, but I am a little surprised that Mom didn't call him. What do you think?
So first, thank you for all of the context that you just provided, because I think it's really important for the courties and those that look at true crime from the courtroom lens to understand everyone's role and to not take out any anger or anything on defense attorneys. They are doing their job, what they are supposed to do. And if they don't do it zealously, I have a problem with that. So kudos to you for, you know, making sure we add context to lens and law and how things operate. And as far as Charlie not taking the stands, I think that that was also a very calculated decision because he has an appeal coming up. And if he takes the witness stand and says anything that could potentially jeopardize his appeal, that will be problematic.
You're right, Sonny. That's an excellent point. And, you know, you do consulting on litigation matters. That's something you're always thinking about. What's the next step, right? The appellate process is what's next for him. So perhaps the trip to Tallahassee was a wasted one. You know, he just made the trip to the Leon County Jail and has been in holding there for, geez, I guess it's probably going on 2 weeks now. We could get the exact date, but roughly 2 weeks. He's been there at everyone's disposal should he need to be made a witness. And now we know he won't be. And we know Wendy did not want to be brought in by her mother's legal team for the reasons that we've talked about, my friend Sonny Slaughter, that she only gets immunity through the state of Florida, not if her mother's attorneys call her. So let's do this while we're still waiting for some action to happen. Let's take a break. When we come back, we should be ready to watch the closing arguments.
I'm Julia Janae, and we are live in Tallahassee, Florida for the matriarch mastermind murder trial for Donna Adelson. We'll have all the latest for you here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. It's great to have you with us on this Thursday morning. I'm Julie Grant, and it all comes down to this, the closing arguments in the matriarch mastermind murder trial. Defendant Donna Adelson is accused of being part of the plot to murder her former son-in-law, beloved Florida State University law professor Dan Markel. We're thinking about his family this morning as they're going through the fourth set of closing arguments. Let's remember there have been three prior trials, 4 convicted individuals already for his murder, and they're looking for complete justice. Prosecutors have been taking this defendant by defendant, this case. First, we had the members of the Latin Kings. Then we had the girlfriend, Catherine McBanawa. Then we had Charlie Adelson. Now we have Charlie's mother, Donna Adelson, and she's being accused of financing this plot, being one of the people who set the plot into motion. That is the accusation. She's being defended on innocence grounds. Her attorneys argue that she was not a part of this, that this took place without her being a principal or an accessory in any way. They argue that, yes, she may not have liked her former son-in-law when they were going through the nasty custody battle over the kids. The families, were at odds. But their position is that she is innocent. She made the all-important decision not to take the stand on Wednesday. Let's go back to one of those moments now.
Mrs. Adelson, the question remains, as it relates to your right to remain silent and your right to testify, what is your decision concerning these two rights?
This time I don't want to testify.
Very well. As I've previously stated, the jurors will be instructed that your silence cannot be held against you in any way.
So the jury cannot hold it against Donna Adelson that she didn't choose to testify. They can't infer anything from that one way or the other. It is her right. And let's remember, she's cloaked in the presumption of innocence legally. It is up to the state of Florida to carry its burden in proving her guilty of the crimes they have accused her of. So right now, she stands with that cloak as she's in the courtroom getting ready for what may be the biggest day of her life. This may be the verdict day, the day where she gets to learn whether she gets to go home to her family and live a free woman, or it could be the day where she learns that she'll spend the rest of her life behind bars. We just don't know what the jury will do. Let's bring in our law enforcement analyst guest now, Sunny Slaughter, and talk a bit about the closing arguments, what the jury is set to hear in just a couple of minutes now. For anybody who might have missed it, we had you and Michael J. Brown talking about some of the biggest points that each side has to make. And in terms of the state's points, as you know, Sunny, they've got to check off everything on their list of elements in order to meet their burden for these crimes that they've charged. First-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Tell me, do you have any concern, Sunny, that the prosecution hasn't met its burden with respect to all three of these charges and all of the included elements?
I don't. I was looking at my screen too because I've been typing and writing and kind of going back over everything that the prosecution has said and done. Did they connect the dots? Did they really, even though the case is circumstantial, people get convicted on circumstantial evidence, but I think it is very strong. And particularly the wiretaps, the financial payments and the coded language. All of that is not only suspicious, but it really connects the dots when you also have the individuals who have now been charged and convicted and serving time, who have taken the stand and kind of also laid out everything for them. So I think the state did a really good job in putting the elements of the crime before the jury and meeting their burden that I just don't think is shakeable at this point in time that Donna was involved.
Sunny, thank you for that. This is a challenging case, as you noted, for prosecutors, for the reasons you noted, because there isn't the smoking gun, so to speak, that we say in a defendant's hand. You know, for instance, the person who had the gun is behind bars. They already got that person. So it's a matter of, as you said, piecing together all of the various facts and pieces of evidence that are either direct evidence or circumstantial evidence that paint that big picture that Donna Adelson was allegedly the driving force behind this. Even a small fact. Great example, small fact coming from her son, Rob Adelson, the medical doctor who had nothing to do with any of this. That poor guy, God bless him, what he's been put through. He's a victim too, in a sense, because of the conduct of at least one family member of the Adelsons, Charlie, arguably two, with Donna, we'll see. But Rob, the doctor, when he took the stand and he said that his mother said, don't talk to police. After Danny Markel was murdered, don't talk to police. No, think about it. If Donna wasn't behind it, why in the world wouldn't she want anything that could possibly help solve the crime to be delivered to the police? And then when her son said, well, I already have, she said, well, that's okay. You don't know anything anyways.
You don't know anything.
So what do you do, Donna? Sonny, your thoughts on this?
I was with you. I was like, and when she said, and you don't know anything anyway, I was like, that's it right there. She's saying, you don't know what I know, what Charlie knows, but you are absolute. Why wouldn't she want him to talk to the police? Like, he's a family member. That is part of the process where law enforcement interviews folks. But when she said that, I said, yep, that's it right there. But she really is she is the person that pulls all of this together. There was no reason for them to murder Dan Markel. They did not know him. They had no relationship with him. They didn't know anything except for what they got from Charlie's girlfriend, who is connected to Charlie, who's very close with his mother. And he's there right now. He might not have taken the stand, but he is just sitting in the wings there close enough for his mother. And that's probably given her a little comfort just to know that he is close by.
Yes. Sonny, thank you for all of that. Let's do this. Let's hit a break as they are not ready to go. What's the holdup? We know the judge is prompt. We know it is not Judge Everett's fault. He is always ready to go. I keep saying he is the one who arguably knows these facts better than anybody. We got 4 defendants already convicted. We're going to go in and watch the closing arguments together live next.
Coming soon to Court TV.
The Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Brian Walsh, accused of murdering his wife, Anna.
It's very disturbing, very heart-wrenching.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Ms. Adelson, you understand that lesser included crimes are something that is available depending on what is charged as a crime.
I understand that, Colonel.
Do you also understand as well, if you waive your ability for the jury to make this finding, they can only make a finding as to what is charged first-degree murder?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In consulting with your attorneys, you understand the strategy of waiving all lesser included crimes?
I do, Your Honor.
Is there anything that you need to consult with them further about concerning this matter?
No, there is, Your Honor.
Then you may be seated. As to the jury instructions, I will remove second-degree murder and manslaughter as options.
Okay, so it was a strategic move by Donna Adelson's defense team, something you may not have even been thinking about. And I got to be honest with you, I really wasn't either, because this is a murder case. Without a doubt, Danny Markel was murdered. We know that. This was a nasty, cold-blooded killing. This was a sinister plot to assassinate him is what this was. This isn't arguable. Well, was it a manslaughter? No. Was it a second-degree murder? No. This was a murder. The question is, was Donna part of it? That's really the question. So what her attorneys did when they looked at the verdict form, They saw that on that Florida verdict form, there's a second-degree murder charge and a manslaughter charge, which are lesser includeds typically for a first-degree murder case. And her attorney said, you know, let's get rid of these just in case some juror might be like, well, don't think it's first, so we'll go with manslaughter. They don't want any of that. They're going for a she wasn't part of this argument when they get their chance to close in a couple minutes. So a smart move when you think about it, taking those off of the verdict form. And so what we're working with are 3 charges: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Very serious felony offenses in the state of Florida. Life imprisonment is what Donna Adelson is potentially looking at if she is convicted. Or she could go home today. She could go home a free woman. It's very possible this jury finds her not guilty and she walks and she goes home and lives her life. Let's talk about somebody else who got to go home already, probably. Wendy Adelson, right? Did she stick around in Tallahassee? She's not there in the courtroom. We certainly don't see her there supporting her mother for these closing arguments today. Her dad's there, she's not. Let's take a look at some of what Wendy had to say in this trial.
Did you say in that interview, quote, my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else?
At that point, I was sitting with law enforcement for 6 hours and had just been told that Danny had been shot. So I was in shock, and I was trying to help the police think of anything I could possibly think of that would be helpful.
Your mom ever called Dan Markel any disparaging names around this time frame?
She did.
Okay, including piece of
Yes.
Ms. Adelson, you would agree that when Danny Markel was murdered on June the 18th of 2014, your little boys lost their father for the rest of their life?
On the day that he was murdered was July 18th, and yes, my boys lost their father.
They're growing up as 11 years have passed without his influence in their life in any way. Isn't that correct?
I wouldn't say without his influence in any way, but yes, they've grown up without their father.
He's not here to give them advice.
He is not.
He can't come to any of their functions, sports, anything else.
Correct.
They're not eating kosher like they would have with their father.
They are not.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
Oh, does that include her if she had anything to do with this? Should we be checking the airports today? Sonny Slaughter, I want to bring you in on this point. Your thoughts on whether Wendy's going to be charged?
You know, I was looking at that video. She looks really good, doesn't she? She is like really, she is a good actress if she didn't have anything to do with this. I think that she will eventually be charged with something. I think she was a part of it. I think that this is all calculated and very, and you know, and she's also not in Tallahassee. Remember, she hates Tallahassee, which is why this whole custody thing came about, and she didn't want to be there. So she left immediately. She did not stick around. But I think she's going to be charged. I'm not sure when or how they're going to pull it all together, but I think she's a part of this. I really do. But she is a really good actress, and she plays her part well. Yeah,
definitely. You know, and I believe it came out in one of the lines of questioning from one of the prosecutors with Jeffrey Lacasse, that former boyfriend of Wendy's, and he agreed that she is, quote unquote, deeply deceptive, a deeply deceptive person. And what I found through Jeffrey Lacasse's testimony this time, Sonny, I found it to be so illuminating. Every trial we learn more nuggets, don't we? And when he talked about how she was asking him about when he was going to be traveling and wanted to know his schedule, and it just so happened on those 2 dates, the gangbangers are coming to town to kill her ex-husband and renting a car just like her ex-husband's. How does that work out? Sonny, is that suspicious to you?
Very suspicious. And the fact that he got up on the witness stand and was so honest, I was wondering if he was concerned about himself. But that was so suspicious, so detailed, because she needed to have an alibi for like being with him or something like that. So that's what I was thinking. She was trying to set. This girl is something else. Let me just tell you.
Yeah.
This Wendy is like her mama. She is like her mama.
Oh yeah, chip off the old block. Exactly, Sonny. Yeah. Well, you know, and you're right. It seemed like she was trying to set up the boyfriend to make it seem like he was a suspect, if we believe those facts as true that he gave us. And then the other thing, you hit on alibi, the TV. It's almost like, to me, it looks like a manufactured alibi. They talk about, oh, TV present or a hitman. And then she happens to be getting her TV fixed that witnesses said looked like it was punched or hit with something, you know, by a tall person, not one of the kids in the house. So was it deliberately broken in order to be fixed on that day that she happened to drive by the house where Danny Markel was murdered? Boy, this case makes me mad. If I was one of those prosecutors, I would have charged her already. But that's just me. It's not my case, and different prosecutors are more aggressive on cases than others. It's their case. They certainly know best and have done a fine job here. Sonny Slaughter, I'm looking at the clock. I know we have to say goodbye for now to you. Always love having you on the show. Thank you for everything this morning. We'll hit a break.